Welcome to Story Chats at Inspy Romance. I'm Elizabeth Madry, and I'm here with my two co-hosts.
I'm Narelle Atkins.
I'm Valerie Comer.
Today we are talking about CCR that is set in California and Nevada. We are very close to the end of the United States. It's very exciting. So, so we've got this week's California and Nevada, and then we have Alaska and Hawaii, and then we're done. We've done the United States. So
wow,
crazy. Yeah.
Just like
done. Yeah.
Done.
So that'll be exciting. So I think we were saying before, we're going to start with Nevada and then move to California thereafter. So, Narelle, you want to go first?
I'll go first. So I count this one as Nevada, but not everyone may count it as Nevada. So you can make up your own mind as to whether I'm stretching things a bit or not. But I honestly don't think I am. So I'm going to talk about a book that starts off in Las Vegas, and it's meant to be mine by Becky Wade. So I read Becky Wade's series, her Porter family series, years ago. I think this one came out 2015, 2014.
Yeah.
It's a while. And so I thought, I know there's a Porter family book in Las Vegas because I remembered that, and started reading it. And then I didn't stop reading it. I kept rereading the whole way through and had a grand old time remembering how much I love this book. So there you go. So that's why it counts. So the first two chapters are set in Vegas, and we have Celia and Ty, your hero and heroine. Now, they both knew each other in Texas. Her family had moved around a lot, but there were some time when she was in high school where she was in the same town that Ty was. And so she had a crush on him from a distance, but nothing ever happened. And then fast forward to when they're older, and we have this 4-day whirlwind romance in Vegas where they accidentally run into each other. They're there for different reasons and aren't meant to have no expectation they ever see each other again, run into each other, have this mad, crazy 4-day whirlwind romance. And then he's very impulsive, Ty, and he decided that they should get married. So off they go to one of the Vegas chapels and get married. And then they have their wedding night, and then you get to the next morning, and he does not handle this very well. And he really hurts her, and he effectively breaks up with her and is like, oops, this is a mistake, blah, blah, blah. So I'm not going to go into all the details, but effectively she leaves him that day very, very hurt and quite damaged by the experience. And let's fast forward 5.5 years, and guess what we have? We have a secret. Yeah, we have a secret baby, a nearly 5-year-old.
Yeah.
And so Celia's gone to Oregon, where she'd been living in Oregon. And so she's gone back to Oregon. I think Corvallis is where she's been. And she'd been basically doing the single mum thing by herself. He's actually quite a famous bull rider and very successful, very wealthy, but she's never contacted him because he rejected her quite harshly, and she doesn't believe that he would be interested in his child, there's a whole bunch of reasons. I'm not going to go into it because I'm going to start giving away spoilers, but there's reasons behind that. And so what happens one day is that he decides he's going to look her up. And of course he finds her, and of course he finds a secret she can't hide, and that kicks off the story. And then we end up in Texas later in the story. And I do like the secret baby trope when it's done well, and this one was done well, and there was some very valid reasons as to why the secret was kept. He never divorced her, she never divorced him, and so it's effectively that second chances romance. And their 5-year-old is adorable as well. We all love 5-year-olds.
5.
Yeah. And it's got quite strong forgiveness and redemption themes. And so if you haven't read the Porter family series for a while, go back and read it because it's fun.
I'm really curious about Las Vegas stories. I don't have one in my repertoire for today.
Yeah.
And most of the ones I have read have been secular. But are there any that don't involve a quick wedding at the chapel? It's just a question I throw out to our readers.
I mean, I don't know what else.
Why else you'd be in Vegas?
Well, because of the way, this is going to derail us a little bit probably, but the Christian, okay, like the Christian market, like I'm not saying Christians can't go to Vegas, because that's not what I'm saying at all. My husband grew up in Vegas. So
hung out with Elizabeth Madry there.
Actually, yes, Valerie and I met in Vegas. So
over it.
But I think like you're not going to have a successful story from a marketing perspective if there's drinking and gambling and sex in your novel. And what is Vegas known for? Drinking, gambling, and sex. So by and large, a story set in Vegas, even if you're there for a convention, because there are tons of conventions in Vegas,
which is what we were at, just so everybody's aware.
That we were at a writers' conference. The believing characters set in Vegas are not there to drink and gamble and have sex, presumably. So the only other option would be a quickie wedding, really, I think. I don't know what, I think to make Las Vegas a palatable destination for the majority of Christian readers, that's what has to happen.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I don't think there'd be anywhere in Australia that I would say that would be a no-go in terms of a setting, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'd never really thought about Vegas from that perspective.
They call it Sin City, right? So I'm going to set my Christian romance in Sin City. That,
you would do that purposefully with a specific story in mind.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be just like, let's have a story here. That'd be fun. No, you need a driving plot that requires it. Anyways,
romantic suspense could go to Vegas, though.
Absolutely, yes.
I think that's a better fit, probably romantic suspense and straight romance. Yeah, interesting.
So, it's a good enough segue into my book, which is also in Vegas. It is in fact called Vegas Vacation by Clare Revell. It is an older one as well, probably the 2015 time frame again. It's part of the Passport to Romance series that we've talked about here and there. It has a little bit of a romantic suspense twist to it as well, which Clare often does. Some of hers are for sure just straight up like thriller, I would call. But she also has more, there's always something sort of suspensey. This one is not. Like Valerie could read it before bed and be fine. It's not scary. It has a British noblewoman. She's the daughter of an earl, so she's a lady. Coming to Las Vegas on vacation. She's 26 and she's under her overprotective father's thumb. And this vacation is like her line in the sand, asserting her independence. I'm going to go do this. So he insists that she has to take her bodyguard with her, but her bodyguard gets poisoned. They think at first that it is food poisoning. So when she lands, he's in the hospital. And so the father calls and demands that the police assign her an officer to take care of her, which realistically, that's not how police in the United States work, but that's okay. That's okay. It makes a good story. So enter Martin, our hero. He's on his way out of the police force after having been injured. His injury is fine, but psychologically he is very damaged as a result. But then they find out that Tamlin's bodyguard was in fact actually poisoned, not just, dead because of some freak accident.
Not just poisoned and in the hospital, but dead.
No, he dies. He dies, and then they realize that it's actually poisoning. And so then it turns into this, vacation into keeping her safe and untangling all the little twists and turns of what are actually going on. It's really good, solid faith arc, which I loved. And again, I would say not so suspensey. It's more again that the conflict is external. And so, but enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed rereading. I thought I'll just skim a little bit, and I ended up just rereading the whole thing because
I enjoyed that one as well when I read it years ago.
Valerie, what you got?
I find it interesting that the one book that I have set in Nevada is also an older book.
Okay.
It's not set in Vegas, though. It's called Love's Promises by Sandra Lee Smith, and it's set at Tahoe. And as you know, if you are familiar with Tahoe, the lake runs right on the border between Nevada and California. But as I recall, this story takes place on the Nevada side of the border. It is one of the few environmental romances that I've read. And so when I read it, which was a few years ago, it might have been really the very first one I'd read that was remotely similar to what I was trying to write at the time. Monica is determined to build her late father's dream home at Lake Tahoe, and Greg is determined to stop her. So he works for the building department or permits or something like that. Unlike the two of you, I skimmed the first couple chapters and then stopped. I did not reread the whole thing. So he's falling for her. He finds a lot to like about her, but he still feels really compelled to stop her. So she gets really annoyed with him because she also is falling for him, and he should love her enough to, let her have her way, kind of thing. And so when things get rough between them, she uses basically his enemy to push through the permits, the guy from the other office, to try and get the building permits through. So they've got some kind of issues to work through, as I recall. But it was full of the beauty of the Tahoe area, where I have visited and really enjoyed it. So it was a fun read. Set there.
Excellent.
Very touristy area.
Did you have another one in Nevada, Narelle?
No, I have one. One is enough.
Excellent. One is enough. All right. I'm going to do mine next because it sort of bridges the gap between Nevada and California, and then we'll shift into California. I have Framed in Death Valley by Dana Mintink, I think.
Yeah.
So she states briefly that in the story that they're on the Nevada side of Death Valley. So fun fact, my mother was actually born in Death Valley, which is a very rare thing. In fact, her birth certificate is a cattle registration form because people were not born in Death Valley. So she was born on the California side. And honestly, when I think of Death Valley, I think of California. I did not know there was a Nevada side, but I looked at the map and there is, in fact, a tiny little sliver of it that's on the Nevada side, and that's where this story takes place.
I wonder why it was important to her to do that, to put it in the sliver.
That's a fabulous question. I think because it looks like on the map, and she does mention that they go to Beatty, Nevada. There are some little towns sort of maybe nearer, whereas the California side, it's
There's
just
not much.
desert. No. It's just desert.
It is desert. I'm thinking Death Valley must be desert, but I thought I better check.
Yes, no, it is. It is definitely desert. Yes.
When we left Vegas in November 2019, we drove that road south and west of Vegas and through the highway through Death Valley. So yeah, it's interesting to carry on.
Okay.
Sorry.
So I'm going to say this can be Nevada or California because Death Valley is Death Valley. So this is super angsty, like super duper duper. Like I had to put it down and walk away, and I didn't want to finish it. And it made me very sad and angry because it was so much angst. It was good, and I'm glad I pushed through. But if you have a low angst tolerance, don't read that. Not suspense, angst. You write angsty books.
She's known for romantic suspense, though, is she not?
It is love and suspense. Okay, but the suspense part is not suspensey. It's fine. I figured it out very quickly. It was no big deal. The suspense part was not bad. The interpersonal relationship drama was too much for me.
Oh, that's
this is between the hero and heroine we're talking about?
Yes, the hero and the heroine. are married. He got sent to prison. Well, he was on trial for murder, and it starts with him having been acquitted because of mishandling of evidence. But the whole little tiny town is convinced that he did it, except his wife. But he decided he didn't want to stain her name with his reputation, so he had sent her divorce papers while he was in jail awaiting trial. And
Interesting backdrop.
Yes, and you learn all that very quickly at the start, so there's no spoilers there. She still believes he's innocent, but he sent her divorce papers, and he believes that he's trash, even though he's not a murderer. And so between the relationship between them is so fractured and broken, that part of me is like, you know what? You probably both would be better to just go ahead and start over with someone who does not carry this much trauma. But they do, they do work through it. Obviously it's love inspired. So they do end up together at the end. Just how they get there was so angsty, but it was still good. The suspense part, I loved every single thing about it. Just when the two of them were together and fighting about, you hurt me, no, you hurt me, and I'm just like, stop. So it was really good, but it was too angsty for me. I don't like high angst books, so there you go. Narelle, what you got? Narelle's like, I want to read that one. That sounds amazing.
I don't mind. I can deal with, Love Inspired does tend to be more high angst than low angst, though. So if I was to,
I don't remember ever reading a Love Inspired that was this angsty, honestly.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a special one just for you. And it serves you right for reading romantic suspense for the podcast. Did I say that?
Sneaking it in.
Valerie's smiling if you're listening on the podcast. But anyway, so I'm going to go to California, to Sacramento, to a book I've talked about before, which is A Worthy Heart by Sarah Beth Williams. And I chose this one for California because you really do see the city of California in the story. So I talked about it in episode 109, Recent Reads, which earlier in 2023. And Serena's a college student who makes a pretty big mistake. She's not a Christian at the time of moving out with her boyfriend. She's in her last year at college, who ends up being very violent and abusive, and she's pretty much in a pretty nasty domestic violence situation. The hero in the story is her best friend's brother, and his name is Joel, and he finds out about the situation she's in, and that's where the story kicks off. It's very much friends to more. There's no cheating. She's out of the relationship with the violent boyfriend before anything happens with Joel, so you don't have to worry about that. But it's very much Sarah Beth in terms of strong faith element, very emotional, really sort of digging into the characters and looking at what's going on and what makes them tick. And there's redemption and forgiveness themes in the story, and it highlights California and Sacramento at the same time as well. So that's why I chose that one for my first one.
Valerie, what you got?
I'm going to go to northern coastal California with Finding Love in Eureka, California by Angela Ruth Strong. This is part of her Resort to Love series. And one of the reasons that I like this book, honestly, besides that I like pretty much everything she's written, is that I've been to this section of the North California coast a couple of times, into the redwoods and the coastal area there, and really like it there. And so I felt like she really portrayed that part well. A lot of books are Hollywood-esque or true coastal, and this is coastal, but it really focuses on the redwoods, and so that was kind of fun. So Genevieve is from a family of 6 adopted siblings.
Wow.
And she has struggled forever with belonging. She feels like they're a family of misfits, all of them. So she struggles to think that any guy would think she was special. Now, the guy she has her eye on is Matt Lake, who's one of the Lake siblings from the Resort to Love series, and he is a pilot. Now, Genevieve works at the Eureka airport, and so Matt flies through like a couple of times a week or whatever. So she can kind of have romantic thoughts towards him without him becoming aware, and without it being a big deal, because he's not there that often, right? But of course, whatever happens there. Besides, he has a high-powered girlfriend in Portland, and so obviously he would never be interested in poor little me. But then he asks a favor of her, and of course she says yes, and before you know it, he is starting to see her, and she's panicking about being seen. So you can read this one without having read the other ones, but you want to read them all, so just do it.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one. I read it quite a while ago, though. I think that
yes, I think this might be the episode of historical romance, but contemporary.
All right. Is it me next?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So my California one is actually just sort of a series, because I decided I couldn't choose just one. And it is the Sewing in SoCal series by Sara Monzon. They're set in Southern California, shockingly enough, since it's Sewing in SoCal. Who saw that coming?
Nobody.
And I think she calls them rom-coms. They're definitely lighthearted. But
Yeah.
Like Valerie and I are hard sells on the rom-com thing. So I smiled and I enjoyed them. I don't remember like laughing out loud thinking that it was hilarious. So if that's, whatever your litmus test for rom-com is, they qualify. They're lighthearted and, not
amusing.
We've talked about all of the books in this series in various episodes. So if you want to find more, just look around. They're there.
Yes.
They're short. I would say they're novella length. Is that a correct? Or do I just read
without looking it up? I believe that you're correct on that. Maybe a longish novella.
Yeah, say 40K would have been what I was thinking. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Then they're normal-ish length then. Never mind.
No, 50K is short novel. Well, 40K is usually novella, 50K is short novel, and in the 40s it depends.
Yeah. So I'm not 100% sure that they couldn't have taken place in any other sunny location. There's nothing that screams, oh, that's so California, but it's Sewing in SoCal, so it is California. So there you go.
And that's where Sara lives. So
and
it has that flavor.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah.
Who's next, Narelle?
I'll go next. So I've got 2 series from Liwen Y Ho. So which series will I go with first? I'll go.
I don't know.
Yes, I think I will go with the Fab 40 series. And that's also got the rom-com elements. I find her books quite funny and I will laugh out loud. And I really enjoyed this series. So
I smiled.
Yes. Well, a smile is good from Valerie.
Right?
Smiles are worth a lot. So we've talked about it in numerous episodes. I did go and find some to help. So number 3, Joined at the Hip, was talked about in episode 70, Mum's Side Characters, and also episode 73, Fake Relationships. And Love at Second Sight, which is episode 83, we actually did Spotlight with Liwen where we talked about it. So this is the one where you've got female characters over 40s. You've got very interesting parents that interfere in their adult children's lives. It's set in the Bay Area, so around San Jose and that part. And they're just really fun stories. And they're the kind of thing I will go back and reread because they're cute. And I just know that I'm going to smile and end the book with a smile on my face. And often that's what you want sometimes. You don't want the angst all the time. Beth never wants the angst. I take the angst sometimes. I'll have the angst sometimes, but sometimes you just feel like reading something light and breezy and easy. And this series is definitely that. So it's the Fab 40 series.
Yeah, more, Valerie?
Sure. California is a big place and lots of people write books set there. Julie Carobini, Walking on Seaglass. Julie has quite a few, well, several anyways, series set along the California coast, which is where she lives. The Seaglass Inn is the setting for an entire series. Liddy is the new concierge there at the inn, and she keeps running into recent widower Beau. I did not go back and reread this book, although I have read it, and I have read all of the books in that series. Probably most of what Julie has written, honestly. Maybe not everything. I'd have to look. But I love her sense of place. I always feel as though I have walked in the sand with the warm waves rippling over my feet. And I have seen, you know, sea lions, or I've seen some whale spouts, or I've seen some surfboarders. And I've seen all these people who are coming to have their vacation at Seaglass Inn. And so I just really love the sense of place with them. And the stories also are also enjoyable, not just for the setting. But if you're looking for that kind of gentle feeling of being at the ocean, then I recommend Julie Carobini.
Yeah, excellent. Very good. We are probably at the time where we should stop, because I know the two of you probably have lists that go on for days, but
we'll just have one more.
Can I squeeze in some honorable mentions?
Okay, squeeze fast.
And
don't talk about them, just title and author.
Okay, Spark Brothers series set in the Bay Area by Liwen Y Ho, and also Tony Shalhoub's The Love Script set in Hollywood. We did a spotlight episode not that long ago, in the last few months.
Yep.
Okay, if you get an honorable mention, so do I.
But you just title and name, that's it.
Seaside Reunion by Irene Hannon. It's part of a book Starfish Bay series set also in my favorite part of Northern California. Done.
Okay, excellent. Good job. Good job. Hold on, I'm writing as fast as I can. All right. We know that we missed many in California, but we don't know if we missed many in Nevada. So if we missed something in Nevada, let us know. I mean, you can let us know what we missed in California too. That's fine. But leave us a comment on YouTube or over on the Facebook page. And thank you so much for joining us. We will look forward to seeing you again next week. And if you are over on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. And we'll see you again next week. In the meantime, don't forget to fall in love with a good book. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.